can we win in 2024?
By we, you mean right-wing conservative nutcases? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, if you take the mainstream media's view, anybody who would vote for Trump is going to be some far right MAGA extremist. But you'll actually, there's a lot of people who are libertarian leaning, anti-establishment, some people who just despise the Republican Party, but just want Trump to win for, say, like my position is more so Trump's more likely to fire people. His foreign policy was substantially better than everyone else we've seen. So I actually really don't like Republicans, and I don't consider myself conservative, but I think Trump is one of our best bets in a long time. I'd like to see him win, but, could there be better? Of course. It's a question of, is it possible to defeat the establishment machine, which has got Biden fumbling around in office, maybe wants to bring in Gavin Newsom or who knows what. And yeah, I mean, there you go. That's we.
Okay, Trump cannot win. It is impossible because Google alone has the power in 2024 to shift between 6.4 and 25.5 million votes in the presidential election with no one aware of what they're doing and without leaving a paper trail for authorities to trace. So let me just repeat those numbers: between 6.4 and 25.5 million votes. And those are absolutely rock solid numbers. And I know how to stop that. I know how to level the playing field, but all the attention is going to so-called voter fraud. All that attention is going to voter fraud because Google and some other tech companies are misdirecting attention. In other words, they're making those kinds of stories go viral so that people who don't know better end up focusing on those issues. And they're doing that deliberately so that you won't look at them.
I mean, I could say, potentially right now, yes, but for 2 years after the 2020 election, you could not even say those words on YouTube without getting banned. In fact, I think it was The Hill ran a clip of Donald Trump speaking at a rally where he said, "It was a big fraud, you stole it." And then they shut down a news segment for simply mentioning it. But if you came on and said, "Oh, they've got better ballot harvesting," YouTube was totally fine. If you came out and said big tech censorship, Google search manipulation, they had no problem with you saying those things. But you couldn't talk about now you can talk about fraud. They've changed the rules a few months ago where now you're allowed to say 2020 was stolen from Trump or whatever. But how would you, what's your response to that?
Whatever it is people are focusing on, you have to understand that focus is being controlled. So I guarantee you they're not ever allowing the focus to be on them. So right now, for example, there's a big trial in progress. It's just winding down. The U.S. versus Google. No one even knows about it. That has been so completely suppressed by the tech companies themselves and their media partners. So what I'm saying is whatever it is people are going to be talking about, they control that. And whatever else they do, they're going to make sure that you don't look at them and the kind of power that they have to shift votes and opinions, which is unprecedented in human history. That's what I study. That's what I've been studying more than 11 years. And I publish my work in peer-reviewed journals. It's rock solid, rigorous research. I've testified about it before Congress. And this is what's really happening. And a couple of people now have been figuring this out. One is Carrie Lake. She's changed her tune. I don't know if you know that in the last few weeks. She's saying it's big tech that we really need to worry about. And the other is Ramaswamy. He's also now switched, saying, "Oh, all those, those voter fraud issues. Yeah, they're important, but that's not real. Where the real threat is. The real threat is the big tech companies, because these other kinds of things that we talk about, they can shift a few votes here and there, but they're inherently competitive. But if one of the big tech platforms decides to support a party or a candidate There is nothing you can do about it. Generally speaking, also, they're using techniques that you can't even see. So that's really where the big threat is. And I will tell you, at this point in time, democracy in this country is an illusion because that's how many votes they control.
Are you doing a look back on that? The 6 million to 25 million you're talking about, you're thinking about that's now or 2024? What was it in 2016 or 2020? I mean, I would submit to you that there's no, when Carrie Lake says 81 million votes my ass, I agree with her. I don't think that there's the real or that old school fraud, which you think is a smaller amount. It probably is a smaller amount. I agree with your assertion that the tech censorship is big, but
the biggest.
Yeah,
I agree.
But what did Trump overcome it in 2016? What was the amount in 2016?
I can tell you precisely because that's when we started monitoring. That's when we invented the world's first system for surveilling them, doing to them what they do to us and our kids. We learned how to capture what they call ephemeral content. Mm-hmm. Let me explain here. This is a very important concept. 2018, there was a leak of emails from Google to the Wall Street Journal. And in that conversation that these Googlers were having, they said, how can we use ephemeral experiences to change people's views about Trump's travel ban? Well, my head practically exploded when I saw that because we had been studying in controlled experiments since 2013 the power that ephemeral experiences have to change people's opinions and attitudes and beliefs and purchases and votes.
Well, what's an ephemeral experience?
Okay, most of the experiences you have online are ephemeral. And ephemeral means fleeting, means you have the experience and then whatever was there, the content disappears like in a puff of smoke and it disappears. So, for example, you go to Google search engine, which you should never use, by the way, I can explain why, but and you type in a search term. You start to type, they're flashing search suggestions at you. Those are ephemeral. They disappear. They're not stored anywhere. You can't go back in time. Search results populate below. Those are ephemeral. You can't go back in time and see what search results there. How about answer boxes, news feeds? When you're on YouTube, those the recommended one that's going to come up next, the up next video.
That's not tracked.
It's not tracked. That's ephemeral. The whole list of recommended videos, it's all ephemeral. What we started doing in 2016 with a very small system at the time was preserving that and analyzing that. We found we were looking at Google, Bing, and Yahoo. We found pro-Hillary Clinton bias in all 10 search positions on the first page of Google search results, but not Bing or Yahoo. That's very important.
Interesting.
For control.
So you're saying we should use Bing?
No, not at all. But the point is that if that level of bias, because that's what our experiments look at, they look at how bias can shift opinions and votes. We measure that very precisely. If that level of bias that we measured, that we captured, that we preserved, normally that's never preserved, had been present nationwide in the 2016 election, well, that would have shifted between 2.6 and 10.4 million votes to Hillary Clinton, with no one knowing that had occurred because people can't see bias in search results. They just click on what's highest. They trust whatever that takes them to if they're undecided.
So 2 to 10 million in 2016. You're saying 6 to 25 million 2024. What was 2020?
2020, Google alone shifted more than 6 million votes to Joe Biden. Now, by the way, I supported Hillary Clinton. I supported Joe Biden. I lean left myself. So I should be thrilled, but I'm not thrilled because I don't like the fact that a private company is undermining democracy and getting away with it, and there's no restrictions on them whatsoever, absolutely none. They have an absolutely free hand, so they do what they're doing blatantly and arrogantly. Quick example of another ephemeral experience to show you how blatant and arrogant this is. Florida in 2022. Okay, so we were monitoring Florida because it's one of the key swing states. On election day, November 8th, all day long, Democrats in Florida were getting go vote reminders on Google's homepage.
Wow.
Conservatives,
Facebook,
not so much. In other words, 100% of Democrats in Florida were getting those reminders all day. 59% of conservatives. That is an extremely powerful and blatant, but you know, if you don't have a monitoring system in place to capture all that ephemeral stuff,
the FEC should be all over this. This is a party in-kind donation to the party, to the candidates. They should be all. FEC is the flip of the switch. You know, so
they won't.
Yeah, but so President Trump beat the cheat 2016. Well, I think he beat the cheat in 2020.
Well, but he's not president, so
I know.
Really
well, but so 78,000 vote differential.
Yeah.
When we know that there's these, I would agree with you, smaller amount of cheat, but through different tech.
Well, if this is true, I mean, then Trump's popularity is
huge.
Huge. It was a collective. What was it, like 44,000 votes in 3 swing states are what stopped Trump from 2020. From 2020
that's
victory.
right.